From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN Noon News.
Good afternoon and thanks for joining us on the Noon News. I'm Diane Parker. Miller has our holiday forecast plus a closer look at rising property taxes in Montana. But first, our top story. Cleanup efforts continue at the site of Saturday's bridge collapse and train derailment near Reed Point. That derailment sent 10 cars tumbling into the Yellowstone River, but 5 of those have already been safely removed. Thursday afternoon, Montana Congressman Matt Rosendale stopped by to look at the damage. MTN's David J. was there and has the very latest.
We're told they had to shut down some of the irrigation ditches, so some of the farmers may not be able to water their crops. Also, they've had reports of some of the globules of tar floating downstream, including here about 6 miles downstream at the Holmgren fishing access. We did run into a hiker who was down this way. He said he did spot a little bit there just outside the river. The Yellowstone River near the fishing access looks pretty clean, but one man found some tar.
Saw some black stuff. I didn't even think much of it, and then I started seeing some bigger chunks of it, just kind of like molten tar.
Upstream about 6 miles, the Unified Command gave Congressman Matt Rosendale an update.
We're here today to make sure we understand exactly what's going on and to offer ourselves up as a service and not to be anything to get in the way.
The EPA and the DEQ say the tests have come back with no detection of petroleum or increased levels of sulfur, and crews are monitoring the tar downstream from the bridge.
River operations going to scout that out to see, one, how much is on the shores, kind of where it's going, what we need to do to protect irrigation systems.
Ditches remain closed at this point, working with the DEQ to see when. Fortunately for us, it's been very wet here.
Montana Rail Link President Joe Roscoe says crews had to cut tangled steel from the bridge and we're hoping to remove a 6th car. He says workers will have to take the asphalt out of 3 of the 4 remaining cars before moving them.
We'll start injecting steam into those cars. We'll transload all 3 of those and we'll come up with a plan to get those off the bridge. We can't just pull them off. Obviously, the track structure underneath, bridge timbers are compromised, so if you start to pull those cars, there's a risk either the span goes down or a car goes down. We'd like to avoid that if at all possible.
The congressman sent a letter to the Department of Transportation and the EPA and says he likes what he's hearing, including the derailment's effects on the supply chains and commerce in Montana.
When we could expect the line to be opened again, they're anticipating that to happen in the course of weeks, not months, and that is very, very encouraging for me.
In Stillwater County, David J., MTN News.
A former train engineer says the derailment near Reed Point hits a little too close to home. John Hyatt lived through a train going off the tracks. He says this derailment could have been a lot more devastating and infrastructure needs to be improved.
I don't know how, but for good karma and good luck that this bridge didn't fail while the locomotives were on it, because they're quite heavy. And if that would have happened, we'd have lost a couple of guys.
Hyatt wants to see rail companies take better care of their employees and work harder to prevent incidents like this. The Missoula City Council approved a construction contract to fix and reopen the North Side pedestrian bridge. The city closed the bridge late last year due to structural issues. The $2.7 million project was awarded to Jackson Contracting Group. The bridge connects the North Side neighborhood to downtown Missoula. Built in 1999, the bridge has faced a list of issues that have only grown worse. It is a record low for Flathead Lake, and it's even caught the eye of some of Montana's congressional leaders. Energy Keepers, the company that manages SKQ Dam, says the lowest level this summer is anticipated to be 18 inches below full pool. Now, to put this into perspective, Energy Keepers says the water flowing in the Flathead River near Polson was 50,000 cubic feet per second on June 28th last year, but at its measurement this week, it was at about 12,000 cubic feet per second. The group reports the warm and rainy month of May depleted the snowpack in the northern reaches of the Flathead Basin. That means snowpack that would normally support continued high flows through June was all but gone by the end of May. That caused the lake to start dropping last week, and it is expected to continue dropping until mid-July. Across Montana, home valuations could turn into